I think a lot of people are intimidated by lighting. I mean, two lights and some haze, maybe a little too much haze. I think that's all you really need. When you see a professional set and all these lights, curtains, stands, reflectors everywhere, it makes it look like you need a whole crew, which makes sense for the occasion. But if it's just you or a small team, you can get some really good results with literally just two or even one light.
You place the needle down, press play and turn around, sashay across the floor to where I sit.
The fridge shot was really fun to do because I haven't really done a shot like that before. Well, actually, I haven't done a lot of these shots before. It was probably the easiest shot to do. I had one X60 in the fridge with the diffuser on the very top shelf, and then I had another X60 outside of the fridge, and I had it aimed at the wall on disco mode, which was key because the whole point of this was to make it look like it was during a party. And so the disco mode would just flash the different colors onto the wall, and then that's what you see through the glass door of the fridge. But obviously I also had the camera inside the fridge pushed all the way to the back, and then what I did with the framing was to center the one beer bottle, but I also took the other cans that were already in there and kind of positioned them so they were like staggered on each edge of the frame. I thought that was cool because it gave it a lot more depth than just maybe seeing the single beer can and everything else was just empty. This is actually the perfect shot to show how adaptable these lights are. This video is sponsored by Jin, and they sent me their X60 lights to use in my films, and I gotta say I'm very pleased with how they've been working for me. I mean, I was able to light the inside of a fridge with the use of a battery grip instead of having to feed a power cord through the door, but also I was able to light an extremely different area of the shot with an extremely different lighting effect in the span of like 5 minutes. I mean, it didn't take me very long to set this shot up. But staying on subject with the disco effects, I actually lit this entire next shot, or actually the entire scene, with that effect. This shot was really funny to film. If you haven't heard of a snorri cam, I think that's how you say it. I could be saying that wrong. But it's a rig that you attach to the actor, and it pulls the tripod out in front of them with the camera facing. So what I did was I took a belt and I tied it around my waist, and then I took my tripod and I took two legs, I put them through the belt, but then the third leg of the tripod was kind of pushing against my stomach. I will say this hurts a lot after doing it for a while, but it works, and I think the result turned out pretty good. But you also might have noticed the video is very choppy, and that was on purpose. I had the shutter speed at 1/4, and the reason of that was because I was trying to get the light streaks as I would spin around, because I literally just... I also use a haze machine, which helped build that like cinematic atmosphere of a party, and I recommend them for your own films because you can get them for like $30-$40. They're fairly inexpensive. Throughout the whole short film, you might have noticed that a lot of the shots actually had the camera mounted onto things. And the first one I want to show is the pool stick one. These shots do require a little more equipment. I have a small rig camera cage on my camera, and I also have these two small rig friction arms, and these things are amazing. I've had so much fun doing these shots, but they allow you to literally clamp your camera onto like anything. I recommend two friction arms as it's more stable that way, but I guess you could get away with one. It'd be a little more sketchier, but two is for sure the way to go. And the angles you can get with just mounting your camera to things adds so much to your films. Again, with the friction arms, for this shot I mounted my camera to the car door, and this was a little sketchy, but I had a safety chain of zip ties where I attached one end to the camera and the other end to my inside of the car door, just in case the friction arms failed somehow. This shot actually used no lighting, and the only thing different was the shutter speed was on 1/8. And during a couple of test runs, I found that 1/4 shutter speed was a little too slow. It was a little too blurry. You couldn't really see much going on, but I still wanted that effect of like the drunk effect, I guess, where everything's kind of like moving slow and streaking and stuff. So I bumped it up to 1/8, and that looked like you could still see what was going on, but also it still had that effect that I was looking for. So the last scene in my short film, I filmed in my living room, and I wanted the lighting to look as if it was like late afternoon, early morning, kind of, where the sunlight is still warm. And so the way I did that was I had one X60 light outside shining through the windows. I had no diffuser on it, so it was just hard light, and I set the Kelvin to I think 3000. And initially when I turned the light on, it was at 1% brightness, and I was like, wow, this is bright. For a little 60-watt light, I was impressed. And then I realized it was on 1%, and so I turned it to 100, and I was like, wow, this is bright. Like, it literally looked like the sun. I was impressed. So moving inside, I had the other X60 light as kind of a fill light. I wanted to fill the shadows, because right now, the one hard light is creating super harsh shadows, and the contrast didn't look like it was actually in the afternoon, where like normally you would have the sunlight hard, but it would also be bouncing off everything, filling the shadows with like a natural warm color. But in this case, it wasn't doing that because it was fake sunlight. So I had the other X60 diffused, and I kind of just pointed it up because the ceiling is white. All the light was bouncing around, so it filled the shadows nicely, and that overall helped so much. And I'm really happy with how the shot turned out, or how the scene turned out overall. Thank you for watching, and thank you, Jin, for sponsoring this video. If you want to check out their X60 light or any of their products, you can click the link in the description. Alright, well, I'm going to get back inside. I'm filming in an attic right now, and it's summertime, and it's getting hot, so I'll catch y'all later. See ya. Alright, whatever, that'll work.